Hola, hola. This is your unfiltered nigga Tico Tren, aka Internal Sadist. And I'm gonna talk about a lot of shit today. I'm gonna talk about my thoughts on Black Lives Matter, my thoughts on police brutality, my thoughts on SJWs. I'm gonna touch on them very little because I really don't care about them. They're a bunch of piss ants. And my thoughts on Antifa and anything surrounding that whole entire thing. Um, my overall thoughts on police brutality is there police brutality? Yes, there is. There is. There's a problem. However, it just doesn't affect one race. It affects a bunch of different people. That's the problem. It's just not against one race. It affects a lot of people from a lot of walks of life. Let them be Latino, let them be Asian, let them be. Hell, we've seen what happened to the Asian doctor on the fucking airplane, TSA. They're technically police. That's technically police. That's police. That's airport police for the most part. Airport security, wherever the fuck you want to call them, to the lovely yoga woman who heard a noise in her alleyway, white lady who heard a noise in her alleyway and called the cops, and she ended up dead. To the Latino Castillo, to the other Latino Afro Latino, the one that was homeless, him. Then you got like the black people that we plaster all over the fucking media and all over the fucking news. That's the problem. That's the problem with society. We want to focus on one group of people when in fact everybody across the fucking board is being brutalized. Everybody across the fucking board is being brutalized by police. It's not a fucking black police matter. It's a fucking police matter. They need to fix their shit and correct themselves or get proper training. Either way, you need to do something and fix your fucking training. Because last I checked, when I was in a security firm, despite the fact that I had the right to just do whatever the fuck I want, we never exercised that right to do what the fuck we want. We actually at least had some, we actually at least had some vigilance and some training, so we won't be out there just brutalizing people for no fucking reason. That's the fucking problem. If you're not going to be a part of the, if you're not going to be a part of the process for healing or part of the process for doing right, then there's no point in even having you to fuck around. Do I believe that they should disband the police station or defund police departments? No, I don't believe that they should do that. Police are there for a reason. They're there to police the neighborhood. However, what I think they need to do is fund them for actual extra training so they can actually handle their neighborhoods and people with different illnesses, psychological illnesses, or anything on top of that. Because I find it very odd. I do find it very odd how they could walk a gunman who just shot up a whole entire school out alive, but you feel threatened by a man who you got pinned down to the ground. There's a problem with that. Or you feel threatened by the yoga mom who just so happens to own a gun and she said yes she owned a gun and y'all just shot her. Or that lovely nurse in that one state who actually went against you and said this is the law, this is what you worked out with the hospital, this is what your chief of police and my administrator worked out on how we do these things here. I'm not going to take blood from an unconscious man because he can't consent to this. She was arrested. That's police brutality at his minimum list. So yes, police do overstep their boundaries. I'm not going to pretend like they don't. And it's not just one race. It's a bunch of fucking races that the police overstep their boundaries on. It's fucking ridiculous. It's fucking annoying, and it needs to fucking stop. And they need to get either a better training, or they need to not have a fucking job at all. That's simply how I look at it. Because I look at it like this: if we can hold our military to a higher fucking standards in the middle of a war zone, the police officers should be able to do the fucking same. They're not the fucking military. They're the fucking police department. My taxes pay for their thing. My taxes pay for all the things that they need to do their fucking jobs. My taxes don't pay for them to brutalize innocent people for no fucking reason whatsoever. It's just facts. My taxes don't pay for you to arrest some nurse for following the law. brutalize a white guy for using an airsoft gun in Vegas and shoot him in the top of the head. Then I hear you say in a recording, I was waiting to use this gun. Mr. AR-15, police officer, shot a poor dude in the top of his fucking head. Who was following the rules. You told him to get down on the ground and crawl towards you. You shot him in the top of the fucking head. That's not policing. That's gangbanging at its finest. And the sad part about that, it's so fucking sad to watch this shit happen on a regular basis. Then we always want to display the black guy getting brutalized. We never display the white lady got brutalized by the cops. We never display the old lady who got brutalized by the police. Because there's been several old people, elderly people that's been brutalized by the fucking police. It's just facts. There's been pregnant women that's been brutalized by the police. Hell, there was a pregnant lady that got yanked up out of her car, slammed on her fucking stomach, and sadly, God bless that she didn't have a miscarriage. But there's been a lot of pregnant mothers who's been yanked out of their car and they've had miscarriages because the cops mishandled them, picked them out of their car and slammed them right on their stomach on the ground. That single mom got lucky. The rest of the single moms weren't so lucky. And the police get to walk. And this wasn't just black women. This was white women. This was Asian women. This was Arab women. This was women from every single walk of life. There was a Latina woman that happened to. I think the only one who had a baby that survived the whole entire ordeal was a fucking Jamaican woman or something like that. That was it. And that's the problem that I have with the whole entire thing and the narrative. And before anybody get in here talk about, Tico, you a townhouse nigga. No, go talk to Officer Tatum and go talk to Anthony Brown Logan. They townhouse niggas. I'm keeping it 100. It is what it is. At the end of the day, we need to restructure some shit or refigure. We need to figure our shit out, basically. Because apparently our shit stinks and everybody's pretending like it don't. Our police departments stink. Our shit stinks. Fix it. Figure out how to fix it. Figure out how to get them better training. Figure out how to make them proper people so they can actually fix shit. At the end of the fucking day, police brutality is a fucking thing. It's not a race thing. It's an actual fucking thing. It's a problem that needs to be addressed, fixed, and handled properly. Don't be just showing me some black guy that got brutalized. Show me everybody that's been brutalized from the police. It's sad when, we put all this shit all over the news with a black guy, but we got this old elderly lady being brutalized by the police, or this elderly man being brutalized by the police that was 75. Plaster that all over the news. Why? Well, that'll make you look bad because somebody's 75-year-old grandfather got pushed over, busted his head wide open, and the police just walked over his body like he wasn't shit. What, that gonna make you look bad? Come on now. This is some bullshit. Fix your shit. Get your fucking house in order. If you don't want to, just say you don't want to. I'll respect you better if you tell me, well, Tico, we don't want to fix our shit. We want it to be the way it is so we can actually preach this, racial tension. Okay, I'll be like, okay, I respect that. You're a dumbass, but I respect that. It's that simple. That's the problem that I have with all this shit. Because you got a bunch of motherfuckers far right, you got a bunch of motherfuckers far left saying the same stupid shit. Saying the same talking points. Over and over again. Not really addressing the real shit. They're talking about the same talking points on the left and the right. And the sad part about that, the niggas on the right is kissing more ass than, it's just as much ass as the niggas on the left. I see both y'all niggas kissing ass on both sides. Let it be Anthony Michael Logan or Officer Tatum on the right, or let it be, these other goofy ass niggas over here on the left. You're all kissing fucking ass. Stop kissing fucking ass. Stop trying to suck up to people. Stop sucking politicians' dick. Say what's on your fucking mind and say it with your motherfucking chest and quit being little bitch niggas. It's just facts. You're being a bunch of bitch niggas by pandering to the left and pandering to the right. That's what the fuck y'all doing. It's that simple. Ain't none of y'all niggas up the middle. Because all y'all niggas is far right, far left. Hell, to hell. It's just simple. It's just simple. Y'all niggas, hell. I think those two niggas on the right is jacking off somebody in the White House or jacking off somebody on CNN or Fox News basically, and the niggas on the left is jacking off somebody on CNN basically. It's that simple. That's your lifestyle. That's your lifestyle. But own up to it. If that's what you want to do to make money, that's what you want to do to make money. Don't say you for niggas if you ain't for niggas. Both sides. If you about your paper, say you about your paper. Say you don't give a fuck about niggas. It's that simple. Don't be preaching stuff about black people if you ain't for black people. Because at the end of the day, I'm probably one of few YouTubers on YouTube that is proud to be a nigga. I don't act like the bougie white. I don't act like the bougie townhouse niggas. I don't act like the ghetto ass. For the most part, I don't act like the ghetto ass black niggas on the left. I'm right smack dab in the middle. I make more money than a lot of the niggas on the right. It's just facts. But I don't act bougie like the niggas on the right. And I understand the niggas on the left, but they go a little too far and they don't go far enough sometimes. And I can call that shit out. This is the problem that I have with this is the problem that I have with a lot of the black people coming up today. Because there's a lot of younger black men today that'll say stupid shit like, well, I would live in a white neighborhood before I live in a black neighborhood. Or, black people ain't never have nothing. Which actually segues me into Black Lives Matter. My thoughts on Black Lives Matter. I don't give a fuck about Black Lives Matter. Black lives don't matter. The last time Black Lives Matter is when Black Wall Street burned down. Before Black Wall Street burned down to the ground. Before Rosewood burned down to the ground. Before Seneca in New York, before it turned into Central Park, was a black neighborhood. Before eminent domain took over and took that away from all the black people because a bunch of Irish people and a bunch of other people decided that we don't want these black people to have this. When 5 Points, the last time Black Lives Mattered in New York is when 5 Points actually belonged to black people, and it was just a bunch of black people living there. There was upper class black people, middle class black people, and lower class black people. That is the very last. Those are the very last times Black lives ever fucking matter. That is the very last time Black lives ever matter. When you can actually bring back those great cities and work as a group of black people to bring back Black Wall Street or bring back Rosewood or bring back all that shit, then I'll believe you that Black lives actually matter. When you can actually stop aborting your babies at a higher rate than every other race on the face of this earth in America, then I'll believe that Black lives matter. Because quite frankly, black women own more than 60-70% of the abortion rates. So obviously black lives don't matter in your community if you can abort that many children. And you wonder why the black population is shrinking. It's not the fucking police, it's your dumbasses. Between that and shooting your fucking selves all the fucking time, that's how you basically lose. That's basically how you lose. It's funny how 1 minute we were the premier. It's funny how 1 minute blacks were the premier group of people, the premier go-to minorities. Now Latinos are the premier go-to minorities. Pretty soon, Asians are going to be the second premier go-to minorities because they're going to knock you right out of your spot too. It's just facts. And the sad part about that, Pepe, the funny thing about that is before Martin Luther King came on the scene with the whole entire nonviolent and unity shit, black people actually had it a lot better as far as like living standards of living and shit like that, living in their own fucking neighborhoods. The sad part about it is your schools perform just as good as white schools before Martin Luther King busted on the scene. The schools that they set up their damn selves, performed a lot better than a lot of the white schools did back in those days. Or just as well as a lot of the white schools back in those days. It's sad, but it's so true. I mean, I'm not for segregation, but sometimes being integrated doesn't really work for one group of people. The black community was much stronger. when it was bad self. The only reason why they was preaching unity is because that's the only way you can control the black community. Because at the same time that the Martin Luther King thing was coming up, they were actually shuttling white women into the ghettos and having them leave their husbands. The black communities were still had their husbands at the head of the household. The white community lived in the hood in Americas. Somehow, some way, after burning down Black Wall Street and not wanting to rebuild it, and about 23 other black communities that existed in America, black women decided we want to be like the white women. And they all moved to the inner city. The funny thing about that is when the white women just lived there, they actually took care of the inner city and the projects basically at the time. The upkeep was actually well maintained, the grass was well groomed, everything was well groomed. Then when black people started moving in, the more and more black people started moving in, they started the state and the city stopped taking care of the communities and they let it go to squalor. At the end of the day, black people fucked up by moving into black women fucked up by moving in them neighborhoods. So they get what they fucking deserve. I could have told you that was gonna happen well before that even happened. Matter of fact, that happened before I was even born. I shit. If I was a clairvoyant, I could have told you that was going to happen if I was born at that time. Like, don't do it. That's a dumb idea. That's a dumb idea. Because the sad part about that, after black women moved into those neighborhoods, this is when the crack epidemic busted out. This is when all the other shit with the drugs and the war on drugs, the war on guns, the war on all this shit, the war on gangbangers, the war on all this shit took place. The sad part about that is, if black people never moved into the inner city, there would never been a need for fucking the Black Panthers. There would have never been a need for the Black Panthers. Sometimes you got to explain something in simplest terms because the more complex you get, you lose a lot of people and they don't seem to understand and they can't follow. It's sad, but shit doesn't always need to be complex or bell curves. Shit can be straight to the point. It is what it is. The sad part about that is black people fucked up when Martin Luther King came into place. That's when black people fucked up. Had Martin Luther King handled that a bit differently and kept everybody on even kill or on even playing field, like, okay, black people want to live over here and you can live over here, and some black people want to live right here. I can understand that. That'd be cool. But no, that wasn't his agenda. His agenda was to mash us all together. Because it's one thing to go to school in Black Wall Street, it's another thing to be the Little Rock Nine. I think only one or two of them actually graduated from high school. That was the beginning of the end of black communities right there when only one or two of them actually graduated from high school. A couple of them died by either lynching or hanging or, a murder basically because they didn't want them in their school. But the rest of them either said, fuck it, I can't deal with this shit, and one actually made it. It is what it is. The sad part about that is, like I said, do I believe Black Lives Matter? Not anymore. Black lives only matter if when you want to make money off of it, when you want some propaganda, when you want to be when you want a proper news story, and that's about it. That's the only time Black Lives Matter. When you want some money, when you want to be a politician and you want to cater or capitulate to people so you can seem like you're doing something. It's mighty convenient how we got a bunch of Democrats kneeling right now during an election year. Was they kneeling any other election year? Was they kneeling before the election year? Was they kneeling last year? Was they kneeling the year before that? No. Were they kneeling during the Barack Obama administration? No. Were they kneeling during the George Bush administration? No. They're kneeling now because they wanted to do everything in their fucking power to get the man that they hate so much out of office. It's just fucking facts. It's just fucking facts. Like you said, Pepe, Black Lives Matter is just for the clicks and views. It's so I can get the pat on my back, so everybody can say I'm being a good boy. That's all it the fuck is. Black lives don't matter. Black lives haven't mattered since they had proper black neighborhoods. not these ghetto ass shit with a bunch of dumbass motherfuckers running around acting like a bunch of dumbasses. Everything is, like you said, everything is political. Everything is to push a certain narrative or agenda. You can't have a Black Wall Street and a bunch of schools doing better than white schools and preach that black people are inferior. That doesn't fit the narrative. That doesn't fit the narrative at all. It doesn't fit the narrative at all. Or you can't have a black neighborhood like Seneca that got turned into Central Park doing good with their schools and all their shit and are very self-sufficient. You can't have them doing good because that doesn't fit your narrative. That doesn't fit your narrative at all. And the same goes for Five Points. At one point, Five Points wasn't some gang-infested neighborhood like they made it out to be in Gangs of New York. It actually was a black neighborhood that had a bunch of black people in it. It had upper class black people, middle class black people, and lower class black people, and they all went to the same fucking school. They didn't go to a school because they were economically poor. They didn't go to an economically poor school because they were poor. They all went to the same fucking school. They all got the same fucking education. And their school did even good. Their school was doing very well. You can't have that narrative of a bunch of poor people not making it because they don't have the school. I mean, you can't push a narrative saying black people can't make it because we don't fund their schools properly, when in fact you had that neighborhood who actually, all the kids from all the school, all the different economic backgrounds went to the same fucking school and it did well. Even the poor kids did well. It's just facts. You can't have that narrative and say that they need your help when in fact they don't need your help. You have to actually make the narrative that they actually need your help and present it in a way so it can look like they need your help. Diversity, I don't really believe in diversity as strength. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some countries that make it work. There are some countries that don't make it work. Do I actually believe diversity is strength? No. Honestly, I don't. I don't believe diversity is strength. I don't believe it in the least bit. Diversity is very divisive. That's what diversity is. Because you're always going to have somebody that dislike a certain group for a certain reason, all because. Diversity isn't strength. How we handle diversity can be seen as strength. How we actually do diversity is some strength. The sad part about that is having diversity and saying it's diversity of strength is not really a thing. Don't get me wrong. When it comes to diversity of strength, we can actually point at the lovely U.S. military. I mean, granted, back in the day, they weren't really all on the same page, but they got the job done. They may not have been like the Tuskegee Airmen. They may not have been accepted, but when they went to work, did their jobs, and got the job done. It's that simple. And the sad part about that, they were a separate group within the Air Force. They weren't a part of the Air Force. They were a separate group, a part of the Air Force. So they had a lot to prove, a lot to show, a lot to actually work off of, basically. The sad part about that is that same African American passion that they used to have, that the Tuskegee Airmen had, that the Buffalo Soldiers had, that what's his name, John Horses and all those people had, is gone. The sad part about that is when I was growing up, and this is honestly what I was told by my grandparents and my mom at one point. If you're black, no matter what country you live in, you have to do just as good as that person times 2 or times 3. That's basically what it is. You have to do everything that the person, the majority is doing times 2. So if Johnny gets a 2.6, you need a 5.3 or a 5.2. If such and such gets a fucking 3.0, you need a 6.0. Is it possible to get 6.0? Yeah, but you ain't gonna have no fucking life. Trust me, I know a lot of kids that got 6.0s on a fucking test. It has 0 life though. But the sad part about that is It is what it is. You need to actually do better. You need whatever happened to black people doing what they need to do and doing it times two, because just doing some average shit or doing what everybody else is doing doesn't really cut it anymore. Despite the fact that you have affirmative action and diversity hiring, it doesn't really cut it no more because niggas could just be mediocre anymore. And that's the sad part. Niggas could just be mediocre. We no longer have the same drive and passion that our parents had, or our parents' had, or our grandparents had, or their parents had, basically. Like I said, when I grew up, I was told wherever I'm at, let it be black, let it be white, uh, let it be mestizo, let it be Asians. I got to do just as good as them, times two or three. So I can't just be as good as them. I got to be better than them. That's what I was told growing up. I can't be as good as them. I got to be better than them. Whatever happened to that fucking drive? Whatever happened to them fucking those fucking lessons that you learned from your parents? They don't have those lessons no more. Those lessons are hard to come by anymore. It's sad. It's very sad. And I think the only thing that bothers me the most is the further we go into this, the more complacent black people get, the more lazy they get, the more they start thinking that they never had shit. Because the sad part about that, especially in America, the history is so whitewashed. They believe shit. If I didn't know anything about American history, I would believe half the shit that African Americans believe. If I didn't know anything about American history, it's just facts. Because it's so fucking whitewashed, it's ridiculous. I would actually believe that black people never did anything, never done anything, and never will do anything if I didn't know American history at all. It's sad. It's sad watching black people believe that they are nothing and they never had nothing and they never will be nothing. This is why all the groups, all the different minority black groups that come into the United States view you this way. Hell, Afro Latinos, Africans, Afro Asians, Afro Caribbeans. This is why they view you the way you are. Because it's like you had all the resources and all the gifts in the world to do what you needed to do, and you just squandered it. You just fucking squandered it. It'd be no different if I gave you $1,000,000 and you blew it on coke and hookers. That's basically what you did with your history. You blew it on coke and hookers. It's just facts. You blew it on coke and hookers. This is why we view you the way you do. This is why we don't want to associate with you. Because you blow your shit on coke and hookers. You had all these fucking opportunities to be great. Not all y'all made it. Some of y'all made it. Some of y'all made it and started acting like dumbasses on the other side, basically. It's just facts. And the only fix that the black communities ever came up with to stop being pulled over by the police is, how about we not drive a nice car and we drive a Nissan Altima? Even though we earned it, we made the money to do it, we can't drive it because the police officer will pull us over and harass us and accuse us of stealing our car. And before any of y'all niggas get in here, y'all townhouse niggas get in here, shit happens to me all the fucking time. That shit happens to me on a regular fucking basis, at least 3 times a week. So I don't want to hear no bullshit. And I make more money than a lot of the niggas that will probably get in this comment section and say some stupid shit. It's just facts. And the sad part about that is, to all those townhouse niggas that say racism don't exist, it still does. The sad part about that, it's not just black people that are feeling the heat. White men are feeling the heat right now from their white women. Black people are feeling the heat. Latinos are feeling the heat. And Arabs are feeling the heat. Indians are feeling the heat. Hell, some Indians get mistaken for Arabs. Like, how do you mistake an Indian for an Arab? Hell, some Latinos get mistaken for Arabs. How the fuck do you do that? Loves the Great, I'm pretty sure you met some townhouse niggas. You know what townhouse niggas are. But yeah, it's just shit like that that just blows my mind. Oh, well, I'll explain it to you. A townhouse nigga is basically a nigga that makes it, forgets where he comes from, despite the fact that he grew up in obscurity, makes it and forgets where he comes from and starts bashing the neighborhood he came from. Forgets that fact that he actually had to take the necessary steps to get out of that fucking neighborhood and knows how to get out of that neighborhood, but instead of actually helping the neighborhood and helping people get out of the neighborhood, he doesn't. That's a townhouse nigga. That's typically what it is. A nigga that came from obscurity to greatness, forgot where he came from, don't want to reach a hand out or give other niggas an avenue to get out of there, and they basically oppress niggas too, just as much as niggas oppress niggas. It's just facts. They oppress niggas harder because they don't want to they don't give them a path or an avenue on how to get out of this shit. That's typically how that works. That's a townhouse nigga. A townhouse nigga gets out, makes it, forgets that he actually was there, and then doesn't reach back to pull people out of it. That's what a townhouse nigga is. Like I said, Anthony Brian Logan and Officer Tatum are townhouse niggas. There are certain other niggas on YouTube that I'm starting to question if they're townhouse niggas or not. It's just facts. And the sad part about that is these are the same niggas that can actually brush off that there's no racial tension. There is racial tension. There's racial tension and there's cultural tension. Ask the white men of MGTOW. They feeling that shit 100% right now. They feeling that shit just as hard as black people feeling that shit. By the way, their white women are talking reckless. Their white women is talking real reckless right now. White women are talking extra reckless right now. That's typically how that works. Like I said, ask the MGTOW men and look at all the shit that these white feminist women or these white SJWs say. They say a lot of reckless shit about white men. This is why white men are in the predicament that they are now. This is why the white men have, the Pence rule, or they're practicing the Pence rule. This is why they become MGTOW. This because shit like this. Why would you want to deal with somebody that acts a straight fool? Hell, half the motherfuckers are worse than black women. Well, actually, no. Let me rephrase that. I would say 60% of the motherfuckers are worse than black women. It's just facts. Well, and the sad part about that is, why should you, Los? Because if you came up from that and you have an avenue on the way out of that, you actually came from that, so you can actually relate to that group of people to help pull yourself out of that situation. It's just facts. Because you have the avenue and you have the street credibility from that neighborhood. Everybody knows your ass and they know how you did it. I mean, they don't know how you did it, but they know you did it. You should always reach back and help random people out, or help give people a pass out, basically. It'd be no different than a reformed gangbanger that pretty much tells young niggas not to join the gang. It is what it is. It happens all the time. And that's the sad part. Niggas need to do better with themselves. Niggas need to do better with themselves. Like I said, when I came here, my honest opinion of African Americans was, what the fuck are y'all doing with your lives? When I literally came here, and I didn't go to the black neighborhood to go to school. I went straight to the white neighborhood to go to school. The sad part about that, when I got to the white neighborhood, I found out that they were more behind. They were more behind than me. And when I was learning in school back home, they were well behind. I mean, despite the fact that it was advanced, they were well behind. Half the books were missing. Half the stories and most of the books were fucking missing in history. what they refer to that as McGraw-Hill book series. They leave out a lot of shit on American history. They skip over a lot of shit on American history. It's funny how they go from Christopher Columbus to slavery to great nation. You ever notice that? There's a lot of shit in the middle there that they skip over, omit from history, and shit like that. It's funny how they go from, like I said, Christopher Columbus, slavery, great nation, Emancipation Proclamation, great nation, to straight that, basically. McGraw-Hill books will do that for you. If you don't look at shit, it's funny how, like, we all own these smartphones. They have more power than the computer that launched the first spaceship into fucking space, and nobody thinks to look up shit or look back on shit or check out their fucking history. It's sad. It's very fucking sad. At the end of the day, like I said, if you can't do that or you can't take the time to remotely do that, then why should I even care about you? Why should I even care about if somebody's lives matter, when in fact everybody's life should matter? Sad part about it is everybody's life should matter, yeah. I remember there was a person, a white guy that actually broke down Black Lives Matter. He was actually a right-leaning person. He broke down Black Lives Matter for me and helped me understand it because, I mean, I agree with his point. I mean, but I'm against Black Lives Matter because they don't really care about themselves. For Black Lives to matter, you have to care about yourself, your community, and the people in your fucking community. If you don't, then you can't preach Black Lives Matter. And I believe his quote was, Black Lives Matter, saying Black Lives don't matter. I mean, trying to say all lives matter over Black Lives Matter would be like if we all were sitting at the table and the server served everybody but Bob. Bob didn't get no steak. Everybody else got steak but Bob. The server served everybody but Bob. Now, Bob's a white guy. This is basically how he described it. Bob's a white guy. He's sitting at the table. He was the first person to the table. He's the most respectful person at the table. He's doing everything he needs to do at the damn table, but he didn't get served. Everybody eats but Bob. Bob never got served. Everybody eats, everybody's belly's full but Bob. So yeah, all lives matter, but there's always going to be somebody or a group of people that are going to fall through the cracks, in other words, is what he's saying. So all lives can't matter if that group of people are always going to fall through the cracks. So you actually got to preach Black Lives Matter for that reason. I understand him. I respect that. And what he said was, he said it much more eloquent than I did. But typically what he was saying, basically, saying all lives matter when it doesn't. I mean, saying all lives matter when in fact it doesn't, and you actually see the blatancy and the shit that's actually going on, then all lives really don't matter. That's a nice way of sweeping the fact that Bob didn't get any food under the rug. If Bob's not getting food, Bob's not being fed, we are doing Bob wrong. You see what I'm saying? I agree with that. I agree with that interpretation of it 100%. Everybody else is eating but Bob. And that was a far right person. That was a tradcon that actually literally laid that shit out. That wasn't a left-leaning person. That was a tradcon that laid that shit out. Is he right? Yeah, he's actually 100% right. He's 100% right in what he said. Saying all lives matter over Black Lives Matter is literally leaving one person or a group of people out of the whole entire. You're still leaving a group of people out for the most part because all lives can't matter because somebody's neck needs to be stepped on. It's just facts. Everybody's neck. Somebody's neck. Everybody has to stand on somebody's neck or kneel on somebody's neck to make it out, and that's exactly what it is. That's exactly how I see all the kneeling on everybody's neck in every single country. Let it be Chile with the feminist, because the cops didn't kneel on a feminist neck in Chile, and Israel on a Palestinian necks, kneeling on the Palestinian necks, and George Floyd in America. I basically see it that way. You need to kneel on somebody's necks to keep somebody down so you can always go up. That's exactly what all lives matter mean to me. You need to kneel on somebody's neck so you can make it out. It doesn't matter how you do it. You just got to do it. Somebody's got to suffer the consequences of of the ship because we can't do anything equally or cooperatively, almost like the crabs in a bucket thing, but backwards. Crabs in a bucket pull people down. When you're actually ascending to the top, you're actually holding people down because you had to do some shit to actually get there. It doesn't matter how you do it. Hell, some of the best inventions were stolen from other people. It's just facts. It is what it is. That's basically how that works. I agree with them, but I still don't believe Black Lives Matter for the fact that, like I said, if you can kill, what, 56 million babies, 56 million or billion babies and counting from one race alone, obviously your lives don't matter. Your lives don't mean shit. If you can do black on black violence at a higher rate than cops are actually killing people and any other race is killing people, your life really doesn't matter. Your life is nothing more than a chip on a poker board that you just bet on black and you just lost. I mean, sorry, you bet on red and you just lost. And that's typically what it is. That's typically what it is. That's typically what that TradCon said to me. Somebody always wants to look down on somebody or have somebody to look down on. Because the sad part about it is nobody wants to be equal. Everybody wants somebody to look down on or somebody to be able to talk shit about. That's why all lives don't matter. Because somebody's always got to be better than somebody when it's all lives matter. And the sad part about that, yeah. The sad part about that, yeah. Shit like that's going to happen. And the one thing I can say about the whole entire kneeling thing is actually we did a story on Tren Labs News about it, about the one cop who actually had his knee on the neck of a white suspect, and his partner literally, you see his partner literally pushing his knee off the guy's neck in the video. Where was the officers that would have did some shit like that for George Floyd? Instead of standing there looking like, tough guys, there should have been one go, yeah, man, you might not want to do that. You're killing the man. And this is what I mean by like police officers. I don't hate police officers, nor do I love police officers. I'm smack dab in the middle when it comes to police officers. Because like I said, when I've actually done something wrong, I've had the coolest, greatest cops in the whole entire world when I probably should have had the dickest cops in the whole entire world. On the other hand, if I actually didn't do anything wrong, I've got the most dickish, ignorant police in the whole entire world. So, like I said, I'm in the middle when it comes to it. Are there corrupt cops? Yes. Are there good cops? Yes. However, if you're a cop and you witness your partner doing something stupid and you do nothing about it, you're complicit in the fucking crime. It's that fucking simple. It'd be no different if me, Free Agent Pepe, I was a driver for Free Agent Pepe and Los the Great, and we all went somewhere, and I was the Uber driver, and they shot up a bank, robbed some money, got back in my car, and we drove off. I'm going to be charged for a crime just like those niggas got charged for a crime. And Pepe, I know you're not black, but I'm just using this as a reference point, basically. I'm going to be charged for the same crime or a lesser version of the same crime that those two just committed at the bank. Robbery and murder. I'm gonna get a charge for being an accessory to murder. I'm gonna get charged for being complicit in a crime, aiding and abetting, you name it, basically. Disorderly conduct, they'll just pile the charges on, basically, in the United States. That's how it works. I'm going to be charged. 9 times out of 10, by the time it's done, I'm probably going to be serving, if not as much time. If not, I'll probably be on a death penalty by the time they get done throwing the book at me, despite the fact that I was just a driver and I had no idea what the fuck I was getting myself into. It's just facts. So I believe if a regular citizen can be charged with the same damn things, I believe officers who are complicit and look the other way should be charged with the same fucking things. Because I look at it like this, and don't say, well, police officers are different. No, we hold police officers to a higher standard. If a police officer does something in self-defense and it's a little too excessive for self-defense, he actually goes to jail. That is no different than if a person who was in a military Marine was defending his household and his hands and feet weren't registered at the police station. He's going to jail for manslaughter because his hands and feet are weapons. And the sad part about that is it is what it is. I believe that officers should serve the same time that regular civilians, if not just as bad, if not a little bit worse, than if I was a getaway driver, if I was the accidental getaway driver for two motherfuckers that decided to rob the bank because I'm Uber. I believe that they should go on trial just as hard as I would go on trial for being in the car and driving them off. Or happening to be picking them up from a scene that I didn't know they were a part of the scene of a crime. I'd be charged for accessory to murder or accessory to robbery, basically, or both, actually, if they robbed and killed somebody. I'd be accessory to robbery, accessory to murder, and I'd be aiding and abetting. Like Pepe says, good cops don't turn a blind eye. Good cops is like that one cop, it was in Seattle, I believe it was, who, when his partner had his knee on that white guy's neck, he literally pushed his knee off the neck. You literally seen the video evidence of him pushing his partner's knee off the neck. And this happened in the hills of George Floyd. Exactly. Why didn't the cop step in? Why? Yeah. And the sad part about that is there's not too many cops that'll do that. Only other time I've seen heard of cops stepping in was that one homeless Afro-Latino, who was being harassed by the one white cop, and his female partner stepped in and said, chill, chill, chill. That's too much. You're doing too much, basically. It's basically what she was saying in the video to him while the person was recording it. Chill. No, calm down. Such and such. She's literally trying to calm her partner down and tell him to knock it off or chill, basically. That is an example of a exemplary cop. Now, the fact that she's a female officer, I don't really see her trying to physically manhandle her partner because she's a little bit small there. And her partner was a big motherfucker, basically. So her trying to manhandle her partner would have probably got her half killed or half dead, and then that homeless guy would have been charged with the death of that officer for the most part. It's just facts. Yeah, and the sad part about that is good cops lose their job. But if a good cop does something like tell their partner to chill, or do something very subtle like sliding your knee off of a person's neck, they tend to keep their jobs. And the chief looks at them like that could have been a lawsuit, that could have been a riot, that could have been a burning of a police station in her city had that officer not did what he did for the most part, or had she not did what she did. And the sad part about that is those officers like that are few and far between. You got all the other officers that'll be like, I see nothing, I know nothing, I hear nothing. And you get mad at black people when they don't want to report crimes in their neighborhood because they have the exact same mentality as you. I see nothing, I know nothing, I hear nothing. You want to be mad at black people. Then you want to try to guilt them into like telling on somebody, despite the fact that you're not willing to tell on your own friend or your own partner who did some dumb shit to the last fugitive or the last person. I look at it like this. If the crime isn't excessive and what you're doing to the person doesn't fit the actual crime, then I'm gonna need you to miss me with that bullshit for the most part. A good example of that is, like I said at the one point, it's funny how you can walk a guy that just shot up a whole entire fucking school or a whole entire church out in handcuffs and not worry about your lives, but all these other people on the street, like the white guy and everybody else, and the black guy, you want to excessively go overboard and above and beyond on these people. It's rather ironic how you go walk a guy out that just shot up a place with an AK-47 or AR-14, AR-15, I mean. But you feel threatened by the people that threaten you in everyday life. That you're threatened by the people who you deal with in your everyday life. The white people, the Asian person, the Latin person, that person. But, you know, we have enough courage to walk out a person shooting up a place or a person who threatened to blow up a place. We have enough courage to handle that, but we don't have enough courage to handle our everyday people. How's that work? How's that work? How is that working? Not good at all, isn't it? And the sad part about that is I remember when my one friend from the hood, he lived in St. Clair Village before he got shut down. He told me that back in the day, police officers used to engage the neighborhood. You knew the police officer's name. They'll drive through your patrol through your neighborhood. They'll wave to you, ask you if you had a good day. Shit like that back in the day in the hood, basically. Officers used to literally drive to the neighborhood and actually connect with the neighborhood and actually do things for the neighborhood. Hell, he told me the one time that his mom couldn't make it home because her job had an emergency and she ended up being locked in basically at her job. And the officer in the neighborhood, the patrol officer in the neighborhood, sat there and waited for his mom to come home. Sat there on his duty to wait for his mom to come home, because that's the type of relationship that police officers had with the fucking neighborhood back in the day. It is what it is. Like, the neighborhoods used to be like that, where officers used to literally help the neighborhood, and they knew the mother, and they knew the mother's plight, and they knew the shit that was going on. Now, it's like, fuck the mother's plight, fuck the kid's plight, fuck everybody's plight, fuck that white kid, fuck this Asian dude, fuck this Latino, fuck this people over here. I just want to make it home to my family. I don't care how I got to do it. It's basically like the difference between, basically the shift between police officers went from Martin Luther King, de-escalate, to Malcolm X, by any means necessary. That's literally what it is nowadays, by any means necessary. It is what it is. That's typically what it is now. They actually act like Malcolm X, by any means necessary. When in fact, they used to have a model like Martin Luther King, nonviolent, as long as we can possibly do it until we have to escalate and arrest, basically. They used to be mediators back in the day. Now they show up blazing guns worse than fucking MS-13 now. Or they show up just as violent as the gangbangers in the neighborhood. It's just facts. It's just facts. They do. Why do you need to be that violent when a person only did jaywalking? Why do you need to be that violent because a person's bumper is in a crosswalk? Why do you need to be that violent because you didn't believe a person lived there and come to find out the person does live there? Why do you need to be violent when you pulled a person over for stealing their own car, when in fact they didn't steal their own car? It's very hard to steal your own damn car. It is what it is. This is society we live in. This is the world we live in nowadays. People abuse shit on a regular fucking basis. And they over abuse shit when they know they can get away with shit. Absolute power corrupts power. Absolute power corrupts power. When you give people too much power, you can't be shocked when it starts happening to your fucking neighborhood. You can't be shocked in the least bit when the same people you gave power to start doing the same shit to people who look like you, live like you, work like you, and act like you. Absolute power corrupts power. Remember that shit. This is Tico Tren. This has been my Internal Sadist Devil's Advocate podcast. Share this with black people, townhouse niggas, retarded niggas, everybody across the fucking board. Even pace looking niggas. Share this with every fucking body. It's facts. Stop all this bullshit. Stop all this diversity shit. Stop all that other great shit, because you're doing nothing more but making everybody You're making everybody hate each other more. The SJWs over here pretty much are pushing an agenda that's dividing the fucking country. Blue Lives Matter divide the fucking country. All Lives Matter divides the fucking country because, like I said, you need somebody's neck to fucking step on. For all lives to matter, somebody has to be looked down on, somebody has to be shitted on, and somebody has to be disrespected for all lives to matter. Does Black Lives Matter? Hell fucking no. Last time Black Lives Matter is when they had a Black Wall Street, Rosewood, and all those other great black neighborhoods. I don't believe Black Lives Matter in this day and age, especially when you can do abortions and kill each other at a higher rate than every fucking body else. Black lives don't matter. And I'm not talking about the group. I'm actually talking about the actual saying. Fuck the group. They can all go burn in hell. The actual saying that Black Lives Matter, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter at all. It don't matter how many times you repeat it. It don't matter how many times it's on a bumper sticker. It doesn't matter. Nor does Blue Lives Matter. Blue lives don't matter at all. Because I watched a Blue Lives Matter person kill a veteran who he thought was an alcoholic or a drug addict. Meanwhile, he's having seizures. It was a white guy. It wasn't no black guy. It was a white guy. He was a veteran. He had seizures. Everybody thought he was an alcoholic or a drug addict, and the officers killed his ass. So I don't believe Blue Lives Matter anyway, at all. Fuck Blue Lives Matter. Fuck Black Lives Matter. Fuck all lives matter. Just better your fucking self and do better with your fucking self and improve your fucking self. Or live in squalor by your goddamn fucking self. This is Tico, Tren, aka Internal Sadist. Fuck you, fuck your face, and fuck your day. I'm out.